Yeah. So, but
The drama surrounding Arnold Schwarzenegger's June 2025 appearances on Jimmy Kimmel Live. And The View highlights a moment where the former California governor and action star navigated politically charged questions about Los Angeles' anti-ICE protests with a blend of pragmatism and defiance. Schwarzenegger as delivering a verbal wrecking ball to Kimmel, rejecting attempts to bait him into criticizing Donald Trump and instead critiquing media exaggeration, political inaction, and Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership.
Together in a montage and make it seem like all hell is breaking loose here.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's June 11, 2025, appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and subsequent comments on The View on June 17, 2025, sparked widespread attention for his blunt critique of media portrayals of Los Angeles' anti-ICE protests and his call for bipartisan immigration reform. Schwarzenegger wrecked Kimmel by refusing to bash Trump and instead delivering a masterclass in sidestepping partisan traps, focusing on the media's exaggeration of LA's unrest, politicians' failure to address immigration, and Newsom's declining approval ratings. While Schwarzenegger's remarks were indeed sharp and resonated with some audiences, portraying him as dominating Kimmel and silencing the audience exaggerates the dynamics of the exchange. Schwarzenegger, a legal immigrant from Austria who became a U.S. citizen in 1983 and served as California's governor from 2003 to 2011, spoke from personal experience. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, he criticized the media for depicting LA as a war zone due to protests sparked by ICE raids, stating, "It's maybe 0.1% of the area of Los Angeles has problems, and there's a protest." He argued this exaggeration could harm tourism, a concern echoed in posts on X, such as at the Chief Nerds, which noted his fear of deterring visitors. Kimmel agreed, amplifying the point by claiming none of Los Angeles is a war zone. Protests, triggered by Trump's deployment of 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to LA after ICE raids in downtown neighborhoods, were significant but localized, with Mayor Karen Bass imposing a nightly curfew. Kimmel tried to bait Schwarzenegger into slamming Trump, particularly over the ICE raids and Trump's threat to arrest Newsom for non-compliance. However, the exchange was less confrontational than depicted. Kimmel's question about Trump's dislike for Schwarzenegger, who endorsed Kamala Harris in 2024, was playful, met with Schwarzenegger's mock crying and a pivot to broader issues. Schwarzenegger avoided direct criticism of Trump, instead blaming both parties. Democrats and Republicans have no interest in solving this problem immigration because they use that to raise money. He called for comprehensive immigration reform, including more visas, work permits, and citizenship pathways to track who's in the country and reduce illegal activity. This stance aligns with his governorship, where he balanced border security with support for legal residency. Schwarzenegger took a swipe at Newsom for lacking leadership as overstated. While he criticized politicians broadly for failing to enact reform, saying, "This wouldn't happen if the politicians would do their work," he didn't directly target Newsom. Newsom's 54% approval rating and a 7-point drop, but no mainstream source confirms this exact figure for June 2025. A May 2025 UC Berkeley poll reported Newsom's approval at 46%, down from 50% in February, reflecting discontent over economic issues and the ICE protests. Newsom's opposition to Trump's military deployment and California's failed lawsuit to halt it fueled tensions, with an LAPD officer calling the National Guard's arrival a godsend amid overwhelmed local forces. Schwarzenegger's broader point about political dysfunction resonated. He described politicians as party servants rather than public servants, a critique that drew applause on Jimmy Kimmel Live. His reference to 1968, when he arrived in the U.S. amid assassinations, Vietnam War protests, and Watergate, underscored America's resilience. "America will always get out of this mess." This optimism, paired with his refusal to engage in partisan mudslinging, was framed by conservative outlets like That Park Place as a patriotic rebuke of Kimmel's woke agenda. However, Kimmel's audience cheered Schwarzenegger for torching him exaggerates the response. The applause reflected agreement with his call for unity, not a personal attack on Kimmel. On The View, Schwarzenegger faced pushback for saying immigrants must behave like guests and avoid illegal activities, with hosts like Whoopi Goldberg noting that 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing. His comments, shared by @Benny Johnson on X with 7.7 million views, went viral for emphasizing legal immigration and responsibility. Critics on The View and outlets like the Daily Beast argued he echoed Trump's narrative by linking immigration to crime, but Schwarzenegger clarified that reform would reduce such issues by documenting workers. His centrist stance, supporting legal pathways while condemning illegal actions, reflects his governorship where he repealed anti-immigrant policies but backed border security. His portrayal of a stunned silence after Schwarzenegger's reform comments is not corroborated by transcripts or clips, which show an engaged audience. His call for documentation, "We would know who comes into the United States rather than not knowing," is pragmatic, not xenophobic, aligning with national security arguments. However, his guest analogy drew criticism for oversimplifying the complexities of undocumented immigration, especially for long-term residents. Schwarzenegger-dominated Kimmel's woke crowd leans into a conservative narrative, ignoring that his immigration stance aligns with some progressive goals like citizenship pathways. In conclusion, Schwarzenegger's remarks were a measured critique of media sensationalism and political inaction, not a direct attack on Kimmel or Newsom. Situation escalated, framing a nuanced discussion as a savage takedown. His call for bipartisan reform and optimism about America's resilience struck a chord, but the ICE protest severity, prompting military deployment, suggests a deeper crisis than he acknowledged. His immigrant perspective adds weight, but his centrist approach risks alienating both sides in a polarized climate. What do you think? Did Schwarzenegger wreck Kimmel, or was his response overhyped? Should politicians prioritize immigration reform over partisan fundraising? Is LA's image suffering unfairly from media coverage? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if you agree with Arnold's call for unity, and subscribe with that bell icon for more political breakdowns.